In the opening scene, we are introduced to Sebastian Schlenchtwonert, a mild-mannered bank teller in Potsdam, Germany. He feels trapped in his boring and ordinary life routine but holds a strong interest in safecracking. He is currently recording a video for his newly established YouTube channel. During the video, he shares a captivating tale about a renowned locksmith named Hans Wagner, who crafted a set of 4 safes inspired by and named after the 4 operas in the Ring cycle: the Rheingold, the Valkyrie, the Siegfried, and Götterdämmerung. It appears that Wagner designed these safes in such a way that they would destroy their contents if anyone tried to force them open. Upon completing the last safe, Götterdämmerung, Wagner sealed himself inside it forever. Despite his colleagues' best attempts to free him, they were unsuccessful and Wagner died inside the Götterdämmerung. The safe, still unopened, was discarded into the ocean, serving as his final resting place. In the present, some rumors persist about the whereabouts of the first 3 safes, but none of them are sure. It remains one of the biggest mysteries in the human world. With this conclusion, Sebastian uploads the video on his YouTube channel, but it turns out that his contents are not gaining any attention. Despite being a mastermind in lockpicking, he is yet to crack the YouTube algorithm. Upset, he shuts his laptop and prepares himself for another mundane day at work. Later on, while dealing with a frustrated customer in the bank, Sebastian stumbles upon news about a sudden zombie outbreak in America. At the same time, he notices zombie-like behavior in the person he is assisting, so he quickly fulfills her request and sends her away. During his lunch break, Sebastian receives his first view and comment on his recent YouTube video from an anonymous person. The stranger invites him to showcase his skills at a specific location, providing an address and a password for entry. Intrigued, Sebastian decides to visit the designated place at the appointed time. On reaching, he encounters a security guard who grants him access after confirming the password. When he gets inside the dark warehouse, he finds himself among a safe-cracking competition, where he is introduced as the 7th contestant. Although initially puzzled, Sebastian excels in every round and ultimately emerges as the winner. As the crowd cheers for him, he notices a beautiful woman named Gwendolyn smiling at him. Here, it is revealed that Gwendolyn is a notorious thief who began her life of crime at the tender age of 6. She has the ability to steal jewelry and other precious items in the blink of an eye. Currently, she is a wanted criminal. The following day, Sebastian goes about his usual routine when he unexpectedly encounters Gwendolyn. They talk over a cup of coffee, and Gwendolyn reveals that she was the one who commented on his YouTube video. Wasting no time, she then gets straight to the point and unveils her plan to rob the 3 safes crafted by Wagner. Gwendolyn wants Sebastian to join her team as the safecracker due to his unparalleled knowledge of Wagner's work. She then explains that they have a limited window of 96 hours before the safes are decommissioned. Hearing all this, Sebastian is stunned, but Gwendolyn assures him that this is the perfect opportunity for him to escape his boring life. She then leaves the cafe, but not before handing out her business card to him. At night, we see Sebastian contemplating the matter for hours. On one hand, he thinks the plan is too dangerous, but on the other hand, he wants to feel the thrill of doing something illegal. In the end, he decides to go with the latter option, so he heads towards the provided address. Upon arrival, Gwendolyn introduces him to the rest of the crew, which includes the skilled hacker, Karina Dominguez, the getaway driver, Rolf, and the gunman, Brad Cage. The team then gets straight to work, and Karina reveals information about the safes, explaining that all 3 are owned by a billionaire named Bly Tanaka and are located in different parts of the world. As the team has no time to waste, they embark on their first heist in Paris, targeting the Rheingold safe. The scene then shifts to the actual robbery process. As per their pre-arranged plan, Sebastian enters the bank first and discreetly hides in the restroom. Gwendolyn enters next and requests access to the locker assigned to a false name. Karina then walks in to cause a diversion that draws the attention of the staff away from Gwendolyn. Seizing this moment, Gwendolyn retrieves Sebastian from his hiding spot, and together they make their way to the Rheingold safe. On coming face to face with the legendary safe, Sebastian is left in awe and he talks to it for a while. But once he is done, he skillfully begins working on the lock and opens it within a relatively short time frame. After a moment of celebration, they begin to gather the money. While Sebastian worries about carrying such a substantial sum, Gwendolyn reminds him that their objective is not merely to amass wealth, but rather to achieve the feat of cracking the supposedly impregnable Wagner safes, thus attaining legendary status. At last, Brad creates a final distraction within the bank, allowing Sebastian to exit with the money. The triumphant operation instills newfound confidence in Sebastian, and for the first time in his life, he feels valued. In the next scene, we see France Interpol officers gather for a meeting, during which an agent named Delacroix examines the details of the Rheingold heist. It turns out Delacroix has been relentlessly pursuing Brad and Gwendolyn for years, yet they have consistently eluded capture. In their most recent encounter, Delacroix came so close to apprehending Brad, but the latter shot him before fleeing. Delacroix realizes that the crew now has a new safecracker, and they are plotting to target the 2 remaining safes, presenting him and his team with 2 more chances to apprehend them. Meanwhile, the crew are at their hideout, happily celebrating their successful first heist. Amidst the festivities, Karina approaches Sebastian and invites him to make out with her, but he declines, saying he is only interested in Gwendolyn. Hearing this, Karina becomes slightly jealous and discloses that Gwendolyn is dating Brad, but they are going through a rough patch currently. Later that night, Sebastian goes to Gwendolyn and initiates a conversation, leading them to open up about their respective pasts. Sebastian shares how his fascination with safecracking set him apart from other kids in his neighborhood, while Gwendolyn recounts her struggles with her wealthy family and her subsequent decision to live independently. Unfortunately, Brad sees them together and becomes really angry. The next day, the crew arrives in Prague for their second heist targeting the Valkyrie. But unbeknownst to them, Delacroix and his team have already arrived there, implementing heightened security measures. After rehearsing their plan, Sebastian infiltrates the bank disguised as a fake employee, with Karina clearing his path by hacking into the banking system. He is then guided towards the vault with Gwendolyn closely following him. During this, the security guards get suspicious as they see Sebastian disappear on the cameras. However, when they confront them near the elevator, Gwendolyn skillfully takes them down using her supreme combat moves. After this, the 2 proceed towards the safe, ready to commence its unlocking. Meanwhile, Delacroix senses that something is amiss despite not being able to pinpoint the exact issue. Intrigued by his instincts, he decides to head to the bank. However, upon reaching the safe, he shockingly discovers that it does not contain the Valkyrie safe. He frantically asks the bank manager about it, and the latter explains that the Valkyrie had been transferred to another bank for safety. This means that Delacroix and his team have ended up in the wrong location. So, without wasting any time, they get into their vehicles and rush to catch the thieves. On the other hand, the security guard, who noticed irregularities in the CCTV footage, triggers the security system, leading to the closure of all bank entrances. This compels the crew to implement Plan B. As a result, Brad assumes the role of a masked robber and enters the building, incapacitating the guards with tranquilizers in order to provide Sebastian and Gwendolyn with additional time. Seeing the commotion, a bank guard triggers the alarm, alerting the authorities and sealing off all possible exits. In the midst of all this, Sebastian manages to successfully crack the Valkyrie, albeit with a few shaky moments. Overwhelmed with the achievement, he hugs Gwendolyn tightly and almost kisses her. However, their intimate moment is interrupted by Karina's radio communication, urging them to provide a status update so that Brad can make his exit from the bank. After giving a green signal, Brad attempts to leave, but he is shot in the shoulder by a guard. Nevertheless, he manages to escape through a window and make his way to Rolf and Karina in the getaway van. Shortly after, Sebastian and Gwendolyn also come out from the bank just moments before Delacroix and his team arrive at the scene. The 2 sprint towards the waiting van, where Brad extends a helping hand, pulling Gwendolyn inside. However, driven by jealousy, he forcefully pushes Sebastian away, leaving him for the cops. Now, Sebastian finds himself being pursued by the police, so he quickly grabs a bicycle and makes a run for it. Maneuvering through narrow streets and hidden corners of the town, he fortunately finds his way onto a train, and somehow evades capture. But despite his relief at escaping and the thrill of his accomplishments, he is overwhelmed by a deep sense of betrayal. Meanwhile, inside the van, Brad and Gwendolyn engage in a heated argument. Brad justifies his actions, arguing that they had planned to abandon Sebastian after the heist anyway. He also asserts that they don't have to carry out the Siegfried heist anymore, as they have money worth billions. However, Gwendolyn, who at this point has started liking Sebastian, becomes enraged and decides to leave the van. Brad tries to hold her back, confessing his love for her, but she rejects his advances and departs. Soon after, Karina also joins her, and the 2 make the decision to find Sebastian so that they can crack the Siegfried safe. In the next scene, Sebastian returns home, only to discover the girls waiting for him. They express their apology for betraying him. Gwendolyn explains that for Rolf and Brad, the heist was solely about financial gain, unlike the 3 of them who were motivated by the desire to become legendary thieves known for cracking the Wagner safes. She proposes that they team up to go for the Siegfried. Sebastian is initially hesitant, as he fears that the girls will betray him again, but when Gwendolyn promises to never leave his side, he agrees. The trio then sets off for St. Moritz, Switzerland, where the Siegfried is located within a casino. This time, Delacroix chooses a more cautious approach, deciding to wait for the alarms to sound before moving in to apprehend Gwendolyn's crew. He is determined not to give them an opportunity to escape as they did previously. As a result, Delacroix and his team stay patient, waiting for a full 8 hours until the safe is relocated from the casino for decommissioning. During this time, Delacroix's team intercepts a radio transmission between Karina and Sebastian, which reveals that the heist is scheduled for 5 a.m. They patiently bide their time and precisely enter the premises at 5 a.m., only to discover that the safe has already been moved 90 minutes earlier. This makes Delacroix realize that Karina deliberately leaked their communication to mislead his team and that the safe has already been stolen. Elsewhere, we see Gwendolyn and Sebastian on a truck, with the latter beginning the process of cracking the safe. At the same time, Brad and Rolf are outside the casino with the intention of stealing the money from their former crew. They track Gwendolyn's location through her phone and start pursuing her. Karina, who is still outside the casino, attempts to stop them, but she instead gets surrounded by Delacroix and his team. Before surrendering though, she manages to alert Gwendolyn about Brad. In the truck, Sebastian successfully unlocks all 7 locks of the Siegfried safe, ultimately cracking it open. This brings immense joy for both him and Gwendolyn. They then begin packing the money, but suddenly, Brad arrives there and interrupts them. He aims his gun at Sebastian and attempts to shoot, but fortunately, it malfunctions. Gwendolyn reveals that she tampered with Brad's weapon earlier because she suspected he might kill someone. She then retrieves her own working gun and takes control of the situation, holding Brad and Rolf at gunpoint. At last, she handcuffs the bad guys to the truck before leaving with Sebastian. Following their escape plan, Gwendolyn and Sebastian reach a boat. Before getting off the car, Sebastian nervously expresses his love for Gwendolyn, to which she responds by kissing him. Just then, Delacroix arrives there with a gun in hand. He is there to put them behind bars once and for all. However, Gwendolyn, who is also pointing a gun towards him, refuses to give up and engages in negotiation with the officer. She proposes that she will turn herself in on the condition that Sebastian is allowed to go free. Delacroix reluctantly agrees, and Gwendolyn instructs Sebastian to leave. She assures him that they will reunite and pursue Götterdämmerung together once she is released. With a heavy heart, Sebastian departs on the boat, determined to be reunited with Gwendolyn in the future. The scene then shifts to some time later, where we find Sebastian as the owner of a locksmith shop named after Gwendolyn. One day, 2 customers visit Sebastian's store and present him with a blueprint of Götterdämmerung, inviting him to join their team for the final heist. In response, Sebastian simply smiles, signaling his readiness to participate in the final heist.